Hi, this is Mike Mongan, and I'm talking with Michelle Woodworth. Michelle, you were with Temujin the night that Scott Macklem was killed, or the night before he was killed.
Yes,
weren't you?
the morning of, the exact time, yes.
Yeah, and you were with him on the morning at the exact time.
At the exact time.
Oh, I did not know that. Mm-hmm. Now, this was where?
In Rock, Michigan.
Rock is just north of Escanaba.
Not just. It's a good 30-minute drive through country roads. At that time it was November, very snowy, so it takes a little longer.
Okay. Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes.
It was snowy, that's right. You get snow in the UP. I know our daughter's up there. And let's see, so from Escanaba south, the drive, it would be impossible to make any kind of time. Do you have any recollection if there was an airport of any kind in Escanaba?
I believe there's an airport in Escanaba, but again, going from Rock, we had a little farmhouse out in Rock, and really Rock is a very small town, or was at that time, to go from there, you had to go through another city called Gladstone to get to
Gladstone.
To get to Escanaba. And again, probably on a summer day with no, bad road conditions, it would be maybe a 30-minute drive. So at least 45 minutes.
Okay, so it would absolutely been impossible for Fred to have been anywhere near Port Huron.
Yes, sir.
At
Absolutely
this point
impossible.
in time. Yeah.
At 9 a.m., I was with him. We were at our farmhouse.
Oh, wow. So this is so crazy. And now I've been told this story of how the Port Huron police came and just harassed you massively, searched the place. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
They did. I was at the farmhouse alone. This was over a week, I think, after the murder. And we had 2 dogs and a cat, and I was alone in the farmhouse. At that time, I was November. I was 7 months pregnant with our son, and I just had a sweatshirt, sweatpants, and some socks on. And I got a phone call inside the farmhouse, and a gentleman who addressed himself as Detective Bounds from the Port Huron Police Department was on the phone. He said that he told me to put the phone down and to walk outside my door, down the driveway to meet him. And I asked if I could get a coat. I asked if I could get shoes, and he said no. So I did what he said. I put the phone down. I put my hands up. He told me to put my hands up to walk down the driveway.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I walked out the door of the farmhouse, and then as I was on my way down, snow was piled on the sides of the driveway. I mean, it was very, very cold, very snowy. But I thought I heard something behind me, so I turned and looked, and SWAT was surrounding the house. I mean, there was no one when I walked out my door, and then they were surrounding.
Oh, this was a bunch of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 by the door and others around it. So
Were any of them local police, or were they all Port Huron?
the SWAT, I have no idea. They were dressed in black with guns. That's all I know.
That's all. Yeah, all you need to know at the moment.
Right.
And did they put you in a squad car, or?
I walked to the end of the driveway. They stepped out and met me, or he did, and asked me to get in the squad car, yes. And he and Detective Hudson were there, and started asking me questions about Fred, asking me if he was in the home, and I told him no. Just started asking me a bunch of questions, and as I was answering, he was talking to me like he wasn't believing me. He was saying, oh, I know that's not true, and he's probably in there, and I don't know. He was just saying things like that, and finally he said if I lied to him, do I want to have my baby in prison? I was going to have my child in prison, and that he was going to be given to the state to raise, that I would not be able to have him if I did not tell him the truth, and I was telling him the honest to God truth. He was not there.
Yeah. Did he show any kind of a warrant or anything?
He did. I asked him if he had a warrant.
Oh, okay.
And he had a piece of paper, and I don't know really the language of a warrant, but I saw a warrant, and then I saw a line of what they were looking for on the warrant, and on that line it said Frederick Thomas Freeman. It said his name, meaning they were looking for the person of Frederick Thomas Freeman, not for anything else.
Okay.
So when we were in the car, and they pulled up the driveway, and we got up the driveway to the door, and when we got out and went in, the SWAT team that was in there had just ransacked everything. They slashed mattresses and pillows, and there were boxes open and stuff everywhere, and obviously they're not going to find him inside of a mattress. So they were really destroying the house and not really just looking for Fred.
So after all this happened and Fred was arrested, you moved back downstate into Lower, where,
Yes,
Port Huron?
I did, to Port Huron.
Okay, so...
So I was having this child, and so I got all of our stuff packed up and moved down there.
Okay, and did you have further contact with these people?
With the police?
With the police,
I went to the arraignment. He had an arraignment hearing, and I went to that. I had contact with his attorney, David Dean.
Yeah, yeah. Did they threaten you at all with any action as to testimony?
They did come and take our dogs.
Okay.
I wasn't able to have the dogs. It was very soon after I found an apartment, but I wasn't able to have them inside my apartment.
Okay.
They took them right out of the car, and when I finally figured out that they did, I went to go get them, and they put them to sleep.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when time came for the trial, were you able to, or were you too frightened away from the trial? Or?
Yeah, I was very young at the time. I was 18, and I did have my child in Port Huron, our child in Port Huron, and so he was an infant, and I actually had been up to see Fred at the jail at the time, but before the trial, I just with him in there, this whole trial coming up, the arraignment I went to, and at the arraignment, the one specific thing I can remember is that the prosecutor, who was Robert Cleland, he didn't say a word to me. He walked past me and looked down at me just with this very glaring look, just, glared at me as he walked by and just watched me the entire time as he walked past me. So that really kind of frightened me, along with what the gentlemen were saying up there, and the SWAT team. I just really was afraid. I was afraid of the whole entire situation, and I went home to my parents. Yeah.
Now, there was a time later on when I think you were able to testify, but they didn't accept it. Where you did tell your story.
I was never called for it. I was never subpoenaed.
Okay. All right. No. Okay, so how's your son now?
He's wonderful. He's 30.
He's 30.
He's 30 years old. Yeah, he's doing really well. He's deaf. And he works for the School for the Deaf in one of the states. And
super.
He's doing really well.
Yeah, I bought Fred a couple of books on signing while he was in prison. Had them sent to him, but the authorities thought that they might be trying to create a secret gang language, so they discouraged that.
No,
so,
he really needs that. In fact, he can talk to anyone he wants to on the telephone, but you can't talk to our son on the telephone.
Well, I'm talking about Fred being able to talk to him. Yeah.
Right. So we have been talking about asking the MDOC about video conferencing with him, so that they can actually have a telephone conversation, because he does not live in Michigan.
Okay.
So far, we've hit a wall, and they said that it's not allowed. So.
Oh boy, that's a shame.
He's not allowed to talk to him, but he is practicing the signing. He's doing well.
Great, that's super. Well, thank you so much for taking the time for this.
Welcome,
and
course.
Hey, we just hope with all our hearts that he is set free soon. This is such an injustice. Thank you, Michelle.
You're very welcome.